Hello and welcome to this presentation about Unit 4. In this unit we're going to discuss stylistic inversion. We're going to analyze the grammar construction, we're going to deal with some of the patterns and also the use. This is part of the English Language 6 course unit. I'm Mr. Singer, the tutor, and in the next slides we're going to discuss the nature of this phenomenon. First, we need to know what stylistic inversion is and what is the purpose of it. So, in short, in a nutshell, we could say that it's when certain adverbs and adverbial phrases with negative or restrictive meaning are placed at the beginning of a sentence for emphasis. So the main purpose of the inversion is emphasis. And it happens mostly with negative or restrictive meaning adverbials. Restrictive meaning means that it's actually crucial or important. When you studied relative clauses, you probably differentiate the two kinds as defining and non-defining. Well, these are also called in grammar restrictive and non-restrictive, and that tells you something. Restrictive relative clauses or defining relative clauses were those in which the meaning was so important that it couldn't be omitted from the sentence. So that tells you something. It's rather crucial. And in the next slides, we're going to see how it actually works. Here we got two examples, and I want you to tell me which one is the inverted sentence. I've never been so happy, and never have I been so happy. So probably you will have already noticed that it's the second one, never have I been so happy. So how does it actually work? The position of the subject and the verb is reversed as if there were questions, but they're not questions. Do bear that in mind. The order of the sentence changes because of the way we alter the elements. As to the usage, it occurs mainly in written English and more formal speeches, and the two kinds are the ones that we discussed in the previous slides, the negative inversion and the conditional inversion. We're first going to focus on the negative inversion. This happens when you have a positive sentence with a negative adverb. You just have to switch the order of the elements of the sentence as if it was a question. It's rather simple. There you got some examples. Never, nowhere, not for 1 minute, not since, not until, never again, rarely, seldom. We're now going to see them in context. Never have he eaten such a huge meal. Nowhere will you come across a more hospitable nation. Nothing do they appreciate more than a trip to the beach. Not until 1918 did British women get the right to vote, and rarely does Carlos talk to me. So in all these sentences we start with the negative adverb to emphasize it. If you were asked to give the original sentence, for the first one you would have something he had never eaten such a huge meal. Now for the second one the meaning will be a bit more tricky, because you won't come across a more hospitable nation anywhere else. So the adverb changes. It's no nowhere, but actually anywhere. We're going to see how this operates in a while. Nothing do they appreciate more than a trip to the beach. So the original sentence would be something like, they don't appreciate anything more than a trip to the beach. So we're going to see how this actually works. There are some ready-made patterns, however, that we do need to learn. For example, hardly had he begun to speak when he asked him to stop, and no sooner had I arrived at the party than everyone left. In the case of hardly and when, you could write the two tenses, the two clauses, in past simple. However, we know that the clause with hardly is the one that actually started first. So it is way more logical to write that one in past perfect to make it more coherent. But again, if you write them both in past, they are not wrong. And little did anyone realize the gravity of the coming events. Now, little per se is not a ready-made pattern, but I couldn't classify it anywhere else, so let's just pretend that it's a ready-made pattern. The negative inversion is usually formed with other expressions, particularly with those with no, not, and only. Only when I became an adult did I realize the value of my parents' advice. Not only did she write stories, but she was also a famous actress. Now, with this particular pattern, you can make it short and say, not only did she write stories, but also novels. If the main verb is the same, you can actually omit it. If not, or if the subject is different, then you are required to write basically everything. Please be careful what you put also, because it follows the normal place within the sentence, where you would normally put an adverb. Notice that we invert the clause with not only, but the one with but and also remains the same way. At no time was Arabia informed. In no way can Marcus deny his responsibility. On no account will I compromise my integrity. So there you got some other patterns which start with all of those sentences, with all those elements, and they have a negative somewhere in between, with the exception of only. And under no circumstances, this is the one that I like very much. Should I say what I saw? It's interesting to see how the sentences would actually be in standard English without being emphasized. So my challenge before you move on to the next part is to actually think on how you would say the sentences, how would you write the sentences using the normal standard variant and know the inverted version. Let's analyze some of the structures and how they work now. I only realized what she said after she left me. So we got a normal standard sentence, but I want to emphasize the fact that I realized something after she left me. So, when did I realize it? When did I realize something important? After she left me. So, only after she left me did I realize what she said. The first bit, after only, is not inverted because that is the part which I want to emphasize. That only after she left me did I realize what she said. That is the bit which needs to be emphasized, and therefore it is not inverted. The inversion marks and divides the sentence into what I want to emphasize and the rest. Let's look at the next example. You shouldn't touch this button under any circumstances. So we got a negative sentence and therefore we got any there. When should I not touch the button? Under any circumstances. So what I'm going to do is to put the not of shouldn't and the any together in the expression under no circumstances should you touch the button. Does that make any sense? So basically, whenever you have a sentence with no, you should actually write that in as a standard sentence with the negative in the auxiliary and any in the structure. You shouldn't touch this button under any circumstances. Under no circumstances should you touch the button. There are other structures which are also part of the stylistic inversion. Tom neither went to the party, nor did he study. So the part with neither remains the same. The part after nor is the one that we invert. There are two parts which are very similar. So, with an adjective that. So beautiful was she that all men were dumbstruck. Such a wonderful day was it that I've never forgotten it. So, these two are ready-made structures which usually work together. Just bear in mind that so is followed by an adjective and such needs a noun, but they're both followed by a clause. And this is a chart that I created. You won't find this anywhere else. It's something of my creation that I've been improving and that I've been working on for many years. And it basically summarizes all the structures and categories. It's a good way to study them, but it also requires a lot of practice. Let's bear in mind, though, that this only refers to the negative adverbs and expressions, which causes a stylistic inversion. But we haven't discussed the conditional inversion. Now, we have already discussed this in the previous course units, in Unit 2, I believe. So I'm just going to go rather quickly. We can make conditional forms more formal by doing the inversion process. If the babysitter came, I could go out with my buddies. Were the babysitter to come, I could go out with my buddies. So the golden rule is that if is always removed from the if clause and replaced by something else, depending on the type of conditional. The first conditional, we replace it by should, with the second conditional, were followed by the infinitive form, and in the third conditional, had. The examples: if she comes, should she come? If she came, were she to come? If she was here, if she were here, were she here? Remember that there is no need to double the verb to be. You wouldn't say were she to be here. No, that would be wrong. If she had come, had she come? Let's analyze some of the structures and how they work now. I only realized what she said after she left me. So we got a normal standard sentence, but I want to emphasize the fact that I realized something after she left me. So, when did I realize it? When did I realize something important? After she left me. So, only after she left me did I realize what she said. The first bit, after only, is not inverted because that is the part which I want to emphasize. That only after she left me did I realize what she said. That is the bit which